Well, hello everyone, and welcome to NHGEG YouTube live chat on Google Keep and how you can, if you've not used Google Keep, why you should use Google Keep and how you can actually utilize Google Keep creatively. And so we have a panel of people, as we like to every month. And so we actually have a special guest. Her name is Stephanie Falardo, and she is all the way from Missouri. She is a certified Google certified trainer, level 1, level 2, also a Google innovator. So we're really excited that she is joining our conversation today on Google Keep. She's going to talk a little bit about how she uses it to provide some feedback to students using what she has termed doc stickers. And that was something that we had discovered on Twitter about a month ago, I want to say, and it kind of picked up, and a lot of people were retweeting, and so really looking forward to listening to her story on why she went in this avenue and why she decided to use Google Keep as a means to provide feedback. We also have Mike Grant, and he is joining us from Massachusetts, and I believe tech director. Is that right, Mike?
Yeah, technology director is fine.
Okay, great. For a school in Massachusetts, and then we also have Mary Murata, who has popped in from time to time, a tech integrator in Massachusetts, and then we also have, of course, Jen Loughton, who is a co-leader for our GEG. So we're going to go start basically into like what is Google Keep. Then we're going to move into Stephanie chatting a little bit, and then Mike and Mary will also add some information on how they use Keep themselves as well as with students. So I'm going to start things off, and I will share my screen just to go over the basics of so what is Google Keep? So Google Keep very recently became part of the Google Suite. As one of those tools. So you have Drive, you have Sites, you have Mail, you have Calendar. So now Google Keep is termed as one of those tools that's now part of the G Suite for education. And so it all started out with Google Keep being basically a reminder feature or a note feature. I like to think of it as a tool that allows you to have stickies electronically without carrying all these different stickies. And I will say that I do tend to use them from time to time, and I'm really trying to get myself to move into a new direction and putting all of my notes right online in Keep. And so you'll notice that as I scroll, you do see that I do have different types of notes for different reasons. So when you're at the top, and because I'm signed in, you'll see that I'm signed in right here on the top right, I have the ability to add a note or a list. So let's say, for instance, I wanted to add a note, and so this could be NHGEG. Don't forget that you have a meeting today. Right, and so I just made a sticky, and you'll notice down here that it's indicated right there. Now I can do a lot of things with this particular note, and I have some little buttons down here. So I could say, you know what, maybe I'm someone who's really into color coding. I can actually color code a note. I could actually, if I wanted to pull in an image, if it relates to our meeting, I could also add a collaborator. So if I wanted to, let's say our presenters, I wanted to go ahead and add them to this note to remind them about today's event, I could do that and hit save, and then we collaboratively have a means by which we are sharing information and working together. So that's just a few little basics. I also have the ability and the means to actually come over here. Instead of writing a note, I can actually create a list. So I could say, again, for this YouTube Live Hangout, and then I could say my list is get presenters, And then I could say that we need to, I don't know, what else do we need? Create agenda. We need to, I don't know, what else do we do?
Send out the link.
Send out the link. Thank you, Mary. Oh, we do this, and then we have to do that, and this and that. Okay, great. So now I have a list. And again, I could come in here and I can actually share. So maybe, Mary, if you don't mind that I do this right now, I went ahead and I just shared that with Mary. So what you'll notice down here is you'll notice that I also have someone else that's part of this actual list. And so if Mary gets that, she then has the means by which she can add something if I've forgotten. So it's a collaborative working together space. What also might be helpful is that I give it a particular tag. And so when I believe, yep, right in here in the 3 dots, I can add a label. So what this means is, let's say you want to have some stickies or notes that relate to your personal life or that relate to math class or relate to your PD or relate to blog posts, or you can create all these different notes and label them so that when you want to go back to see what you need to do or have you done it or where can I find it, you can actually locate it based on a label that you gave it. So I might call this NHGEG, and I'll create that label. And then I might also put it into GAF because it relates to GAF. And so maybe inspiration as well. So you'll notice now that over here on the left-hand side, I'm able to go to NHGEG, and I can go ahead and find that actual note that I actually created not too long ago. And you'll notice that Mary added something to the list, and she also crossed something off. So she indicated that we needed to tweet about the session that we're hosting right now, so that we had put that in, pretend we did that 15 minutes ago, and then she crossed it out saying that we've done it. So I might say that we did that, we got presenters, and we created an agenda, right? So it's just a great way for everyone to be on the same page. So I think I'm gonna stop right there because I know that I wanna make sure that we have enough time for Stephanie to share her story, and I can come back and talk a little more about the basics because we only have Stephanie for a little bit of time. So Stephanie, if you don't mind, maybe you can tell us a little bit about your story and go into Doc Stickers.
Okay, well, hi, thank you so much for the introduction. I will add a little bit more to my intro and say that I currently teach technology and computer science classes at a Catholic private school, all boys, in St. Louis, Missouri. So this is my first year doing that. Before that, I taught special education and math in the public school. So one thing I know about special education and math is that there's a lot of different information for it. And that's really where my love of Keep started. And so I'm so glad I got pulled into the fold of G Suite because it's just, you know, it was kind of the redheaded, I'm not even gonna say kind of, it was the redheaded stepchild of Google. And so it's something that I'm really excited about being able to use that integration, which I'll talk about a little bit today with the integration with Docs, because that's really where Doc Stickers kind of exploded for that. So the uses that what I use Keep for mostly is just like life is busy, right, guys? Like life is busy. There's a lot of different stuff that's thrown at us. I mean, I can't even tell you how many different like committees and groups that I'm in outside of my job, outside of like my day job. So being able to keep track of all that. And I used to say with Post-its that if it wasn't written on a Post-it, it wasn't going to happen. But those Post-its didn't travel with me. And so a lot of the way that I use Keep is to keep myself organized. And I feel like Keep, when you say keep organized, there's a reason why that word is in there. So I'm just going to share with you guys a couple of the ways that and in general, kind of the first one just has a lot to do with, let me find the right tab and then I will share my screen with you guys. Sorry, I had it and then all of a sudden it was gone.
No worries, no worries. We don't judge. We don't judge here in the state of New Hampshire.
Oh, we do. No, we don't. Like, what are you saying? No. Okay, so let me get this one in there. Okay, so I'll start you guys out in my Keep. I actually took my notes for what I wanted to talk about with you guys today and put it into Keep. Can you guys see my screen okay here?
Absolutely.
Okay, so one of my favorite things to do is put an image in with the note because, you know, if it's related, it's related. So, you know, I have my life is busy, got to keep organized. I already talked about those things, so I'll check those off. I like checking off lists. So if anybody's a box checker, this is definitely a thing for you. In general, kind of most of the way that I had used Keep outside of just having those regular lists, when I was doing special education paperwork, there is such a list of all of everything that you have to, and I know anybody who's a special educator who will be watching this or is watching this now is nodding along because there's just a list of like 50 different things you have to do for every single kid in the IEP year. And so what I liked being able to do was to create a list. And I don't have any of it on here because this is my personal one. But I could create a list of all of the different things I had to do, and then I could duplicate that list. And then I could title it for the kid, and I could just cross it off as the year went through. And so that was something that was really handy for me because it was available on any of my devices that I needed, even before it was a main part of G Suite. And then when I was talking to Craig the other day, I was trying to think of kind of the way that I would describe kind of my main use for it kind of in the day-to-day, and it's really just a professional Pinterest. If any of you guys have ever used Pinterest, it is a rabbit hole. Like, it's probably a worse rabbit hole for me than Twitter is because there's just a bunch of creative ideas on there. And pretty much no negativity, and then it's, you know, goes into your personal life stuff. But you know, we get ideas from so many different places. They come from conversations, they come from Twitter, they can come from email, they can come from web searches, you know, and it can come from listening to a song in the car on the way home, you know, just something like that. I have Boxer groups that I listen to. That's most of my daily commute, and so, you know, ideas come from everywhere, and I like being able to collect them all in one place, so that way I can keep track of them. And so my profession, it's really kind of become my professional Pinterest. So I actually have a picture that I put into one of mine. If you guys can see, I was the middle one, terms of service. I was working on terms of service with my web design students and really getting them to understand kind of the permissions they're giving away and putting together an activity. So I, you know, started with what pulls kids in better than South Park. And so I have a link to the clip where he agreed by accident. If you guys don't know the reference, you should totally look it up because it's a great way to introduce that to the students. And just kind of pulling the ideas together there. So being able to have those links all together was kind of a nice way. I used to be really bad about using bookmarks and then never going back and looking at it, or starting a Google Doc or a sheet and putting stuff in there. And it's nice and organized, but it's out of sight, out of mind. And it's really hard to kind of keep track of a lot of that stuff and kind of remember it when it comes back up. So being able to put the tags on it and kind of scroll through and see what's there is something that's really, really handy for me. So I collect my ideas on there. When I present at conferences, a couple of these other things are sessions that I just wanted to have available at the click of a button. We did our Central Missouri Summit last August, and so I have all of my materials for that, which I guess if you guys follow the shortened links, I suppose it would probably still take you to those. So there's some bonus information for today, right? And then just you know, and the nice thing for me, and I know that a couple other people are going to touch on these tools, so I won't go too much into depth, but I like that I can use Keep on my phone. I can use it on my laptop. I can use it whether it's my personal account or my school account. I can share things across both of them. And then, you know, if I'm thinking of something in the car, I can record it into a note and then it's there for later. So it's a really good place for me to kind of collect everything. So it definitely holds everything together, and it becomes a place, you know, and it's actionable. I can do something on it. I can make it a checkbox and I can check it off and know that I've used it, or it's there for the next year when I have time to get to it. The main reason why you guys have me here today is to talk about doc stickers. So I'll go into that. In the middle, we've got this grape job sticker. Did you guys ever get the scratch and sniff stickers on your assignments when you were kids?
Absolutely.
Or give those out as teachers? So almost every single one of our assignments is digital. I teach technology now. So I went from teaching math where there was still quite a bit of paper. We were as paperless as we probably could have been. I define paperless as we use paper less, not that we don't ever use it ever, because there's always, you know, best tool for the job. But my assignments in my technology classes, they're digital. Students are turning them in on Google, they're emailing them, they're sharing them, their YouTube, their videos. There's a lot of different ways that they're turning things in, but the main thing is that they're digital. And I actually made a comment in class one day about how, like, the student had written something and I absolutely loved what they wrote and the connections they were making to what we were working on and what we'd previously worked on. And I said, you know, this is so awesome. I kind of want to print it out just so that I can put a sticker on it. And I realize I'm gesturing like you guys are looking at me, so I'll switch it back over. Sorry, I'll switch it back over. Stop sharing. Okay, just get it back to me. I'm like gesturing like you guys can see me and then you can't really see me. So it started with that great job sticker because the student I was talking to, and I said, I just want to print it out so that I can put a sticker on it and tell you how much I really love this. And you know, there was more specific feedback that went along with that more than just like great job. But the student's like, well, you know, you could, why don't you do that? And I'm like, you know, but that's really just kind of a waste to just print it off to put a sticker on. I could do that. And then it was, well, why don't we just get a digital sticker and put on it? We can do that with images. But if anybody's ever added images to docs, it's not always the best process unless it's in that top folder, because it's always going to default to that top folder. So I kind of sat on that idea for a little bit. I started kind of designing some of them, but hadn't really done much with it until they announced the Docs and Keep integration. What was that, in March now? Beginning of March. And so the specific student I'd been talking to, he said he really loved he's like, if you could make it scratch and sniff, that would be awesome. So I couldn't do that. We had a nice little conversation about, if we could do smell-o-vision with our computers, you know, it would be nice for some things, but mostly not. You can imagine what my classroom smells like with all boys by the end of the day anyway. So no, we wouldn't want to share that with everybody. They'd be embarrassed I mentioned that on here anyway. So I just started, I kind of spent my spring break and created a bunch of them, and you know, my students have really responded really well to just being able to put these stickers in the assignments. So I'll go back to my screen share and kind of show you guys how that works. So
that's awesome, because I think that'll help take the mystery out of, like, you know, how you were able to make it all work.
Yeah, so I actually created, so you see in my screen now, making sure we're on there? Okay.
Yep, we're good.
Okay, so what the Keep and Docs integration does is when you go to Tools, there's an option for Keep Notepad now. And when you click on that, I went ahead and opened mine because I'm in a different place and I wanted to make sure my internet wasn't going to be weird. So if you click on that, that's what makes this sidebar over on the side where it says great job and doc stickers and all that show up. And you can search. I've already got it searched on stickers. If I don't have it searched, it's going to have your most recent thing. So this is where labels come in really handy. So all of my stickers, oops, I'm starting a new note there. I don't want to do that. All of my stickers, I have the label on them, assignment stickers. And so I put it on this one as well, so it's also popping up. So anywhere that I've mentioned assignment stickers or I had the label assignment stickers, you'll be able to see them. So if I really liked, what we were saying here, I can just click in the document, and usually I'm gonna arrow it down, and then there's the 3 dots. You can click and then add to document, and it's gonna pop it over into your document. And then once it's in there, it's just an image. It's really, this is just kind of a shortcut to insert an image. I could have gone to insert image and found it within a file, but that was a process. It's a process for me that I'm good with, but if it's too much work for me and I'm about as googly as it gets, then it's too much for pretty much anybody else. I wanted it to be something I could scroll through really easily, see and know which one I was clicking on and put it in there. So once it's in there, I like to do a wrap text, and then I can pick it up and move it to a spot where it's not moving. My text around and messing with it as much. If you double click up in the header, I always choose different first page header, so that way it's not going to put it on every page unless you want it on every one. And then you can actually pick it up and kind of put it so it'll go up into the top as well. So it can kind of sit along anywhere where you want it to. If you put it in the middle, it's going to break it and mess it up. But pretty much every paper has usually got a certain amount of white space up at the top. So I started out in Google Drawings and made them and kind of made them my own. There's some of them that I've kind of incorporated some of the different things that my students, you know, what things I'd want to say to them. So I made the great job sticker. It's not scratch and sniff. That's the biggest, that's the biggest complaint they have about that one. But just some different things that I wanted them to, that I wanted to be able to say, like dynamite, you made my day, and what an imagination, you know, and just some kind of different ones to play, just to play it up. So some of them are like a take off of what those stickers would have been that I would have gotten on my assignments. And it's a way to bring a little bit of that nostalgia back. And what I found is that, like, you know, you would think that elementary school kids, you're sold on the stickers. Like they love stickers anyway, but my high school students are just like, man, we really miss getting stickers on our assignments. And so it was kind of a cool conversation. It was a cool way to bring that back. And then if I reserve the stickers for like really kind of that, they went above and beyond type of work, it almost turned into a motivation for some of them just to want to get the sticker on there. So they'd go and open up their rubric, and they would have the other feedback in on the rubric. And then they would be like, oh, it's not in there, or they'd open it and be like, it's in there, which one did you get? So it was all kind of a pretty cool reaction. So I realized I had like the whole outline for what we were doing today on there the whole time. So one kind of suggestion that I had for teachers there were some people who were having trouble getting it into the header. And so like if I'm creating an assignment, I start with a template that looks a little bit like this. And then I'm usually just gonna make my, I'm gonna make my table disappear. So I'll just give it like a white border. And then so if I wanna be able to insert the sticker and not have it mess up the formatting, then I can, if I'm inside the table and I add it in there, it'll add it into that cell. And then it's not going to necessarily mess up all the text around it. So it'll push it down because it's expanded the cell, expanded the height of the cell itself, but it'll actually fit to the width. So no matter if it's a bigger sticker, it'll size it down. So that's kind of a good way to do that as well. And you don't have to do this just with the ones that I made. You can do this with really any image. There are teachers who are doing this with Bitmoji. There are teachers who are going out and finding images. And it's really just a kind of I don't know, it's kind of a fun, it's made more teachers look forward to grading way more than I ever thought that they would. I got comments from when I first shared out my blog post, which I wrote back in March. I had a lot of comments from teachers saying that they were excited to go back to school after spring break because they wanted to be able to do this. And so that was kind of a cool feedback type of thing to hear from teachers as well. Let's see. I know I'm forgetting something here.
I like that you talked about that whole table feature, and because I do think, you know, I've heard some people say, oh, well, it's messing up the layout and how things look. But if you do have something up at the top, then you fix that issue.
Yeah, and then one of the things that I really like about this integration is that it opens it up to where, like, so then we're having that conversation, because what happens when you insert an image into a document? Well, it's the same thing that's happening when we put this in. So then it's a conversation of, well, how do I get an image to go, you know, how do I put an image where I want to put it? So then it's able to turn it towards, well, how am I able to more effectively use docs as well? Which I know that's not what this Hangout is necessarily about, even though that kind of almost turns it into it. But it's a nice little good gateway. And what I have kind of planned to do from here with doc stickers, because of course people are like, well, what's the next thing? When I made this, I just gave it a silly name. I didn't think that there were going to be 10,000 people who would go read my blog on it. I shouldn't say people, I should say visits. Like that was, I think the most I'd ever had was 600 views, and that one's been up there for 3 years. So, you know, that's just, I wasn't really expecting, I was definitely not expecting people to love it as much as I thought. I just was like, oh, well, this is something I did and my students liked it and it was meaningful to me, so I shared it. And so kind of the next thing with it is, you know, then it allows you to have that conversation with, well, you know, if I can put a sticker in, then what else can I put in with it? And so, you know, like I can also have that specific feedback off to the side, and you can move text in to your documents just the same way that you can move the sticker in. So if there's a comment that you keep leaving in student writing, you can have those comments in there. You know, if you have pieces of rubric comments, you can put those in. And you can also go from the document into Keep. So if you find yourself saying, oh, well, I've typed the same comment in a bunch of kids' different assignments, you can highlight it and you can put it into Keep. So then you can kind of, so it almost works, it can work as a little bit of a clipboard too. So it's a nice little integration that has the ability to be kind of the gateway into seeing how these tools can work together. So that's something that I really enjoy about it. And so if anybody's wanting to know more about doc stickers, I do have a shortened URL that is, yeah, I'm seeing somebody's putting the link up there. And it's a bit.ly link, so it's just bit.ly/doc stickers, all lowercase, DOC stickers. So that's a shortened link that'll take you to the blog post. Sorry, I keep going back and forth between this screen share.
Don't worry about it.
We'll get it there. Okay. There, helps if I click the button. Okay. So that'll take you to the blog post where I've really been trying to update it. So it says March 19th. It's been updated a few times since then, just because I like having one place to go for everything. My blog, was it probably the best place to go for it? No, but that's where it started and that's pretty much where it's going to stay. So there's a little intro video that explains some of the stuff that I explained to you guys today, and a little bit of my reasoning behind it, kind of an example of how I'd put it sample-wise into a student assignment. This is actually one of my old things from last year. I took the student's name off of it and realized that they had a typo. So I'm really sad that I've shared that with the world, because what is the coordinates of point D just hurts my brain English-wise. But there's a lot of resources in here as well. So what I have is, I'm calling it kind of the starter pack of doc stickers. And what this is this links to a folder, that has, it links to this one, that has the stickers that I created. So people can download those and then put them into Keep. So it is a download process, and then you can just drag and drop them into Keep and it will create a new note for each of them. And kind of a cool collaboration that came from sharing this out in social media is I had a teacher who I worked with to create Spanish versions. And I knew that I wasn't just going to trust it to Google Translate because I wanted it to actually be something that like worked. So I had a friend help me with those, and we'll be adding some more there hopefully soon. And then I had a teacher who made, so the user contributed one, she made these really cool looking ones for French. So we kind of had tried to dominate, you know, the predominant languages in North America, at least. You know, it's not to say that anybody couldn't make any for any other languages, but this gives people kind of a good place if they wanted to get started with it. So that way they don't feel like they have to go create their own. Because I definitely didn't work on this, you know, so that teachers could go spend a whole bunch of time making stickers, and that there's a whole bunch of PD for making stickers. That's a whole different way to use Google Drawings. If people want to know how to do that, I do have a video on my YouTube channel, which you can get to here, and then also there's a drawing template that'll take you to it, that'll show you kind of some of the setup that I use, and it's just got a little bit of kind of some notes out on the sides, and then when you save it as an image, it won't keep the stuff on the side. So it's one of the nice things about drawings. So it's one of those tools that helps teach us about other tools as well. So that's part of why I like it when they all work together. And then the link is also up on the screen, so that bit.ly/doc stickers. And then since it's up there, I'll toss out my Twitter is at i3algebra. So people have tweeted me with questions. They've tweeted their examples that they've made with the hashtag doc stickers.
I think that,
and so it's really cool seeing the things that people are making.
Yeah, and I give you kudos to that you've like taken it to the next level. And allowing people to use the ones that you've created, and you keep building. I think, you know, just more and more evidence that we're in a world where it's okay to share, and we should be sharing all the cool ideas. And, you know, just because you came up with this doc sticker term that you had no clue was gonna kick off, that, you know, that you're creating instructions for others who may not even know how to even do a Google drawing, and start with these, you know. So I give you kudos for doing that. That's awesome.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I you know, some of my Twitter friends and I we joke about naming things in hashtags, and that's kind of how that one started. So, oops, but it's been a really cool way to actually kind of follow what people are doing with it too. So it's a lot of fun. So And I'm gonna, oh my goodness, I lost track
Yeah,
of the time.
you got to go.
I could talk on it for much longer. So if anybody has any questions, they can feel free to reach out to me. If you guys need to do a follow-up or whatever, you just let me know. But I'm going to jump into a conference committee meeting. So thank you so much for including me. I really appreciate it.
Not a problem. And hopefully we'll be able to connect sometime.
Yes.
All right. We'll chat later. Thanks for joining.
Thank you.
All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and switch gears. So hopefully that gives you an idea of how you really can take Keep to another level. And so as Stephanie had mentioned not too long ago, Google actually allowed or made happen for Keep to actually show up in your actual Google Documents by going into that feature of allowing it to show up on the right-hand side. So that didn't exist a couple months ago, and so with that, it's just like Stephanie said, going to allow us to do more and more with Keep. And it's going to be interesting to see what we can do with that. So I am going to switch gears, and I am going to ask, I think, Mike Grant to pop in, talking about how at least 2 different ways of what you can actually do with Keep that I hadn't thought of until a couple of months ago, where actually Mary and I saw something that he had done. So Mike, if you don't mind, why don't you go ahead and take it away?
Sure. Thanks, Craig. Yeah, basically, like Stephanie was saying, I really like using notes with graphics that sort of helps them stand out. So I can sort of show you, I like to add them because when you see a bunch of text notes on the screen, they don't always stand out too much. It's great you can color code them, which I do that too. But when I started adding pictures to the tops of the notes, it really makes it easy to see what you're working on and a little more engaging for the students if they're using it for homework, I suppose. So let's see if I can share my screen. Let's see. Alrighty, is that sharing? Yes?
Yeah, you are good to go.
Okay, so this is my Google Keep. It's my personal one. So I use Keep a lot for personal stuff and for some education stuff. But normally when you look at just notes in general, like I said, there's just a bunch of notes on the screen. But if I scroll down here, you can see that I basically insert pictures at the top of my sort of frequently used notes. This was a sample that I created, and I sort of got the idea from I think I was looking up how to use Google Keep for my class I was taking, and I saw the idea of having students create notes for one for their each subject in their for their homework assignments, so they could create one and have a picture with text saying there's your math homework, and you create one for each one. So I started doing them for some of my personal ones. I'm in the middle of buying and selling houses, so I have my real estate ones there, but it really helps them stand out. And I like having a picture, and there's my dog Murphy. I like having a picture with text over it, so you can, the picture and the text tells you what it is. And I saw that, Stephanie was using Google Draw for a lot of her pictures, which is great, but I started using Adobe Spark for this because it's really a quick and easy way of taking a picture and throwing some text over it and having it look sort of fancy instead of Helvetica. They have some interesting fonts, so you just select different ones and put them over a picture. So I can see if I can switch to that. All right, you're on my, yeah. So here's my Adobe Spark page. So if I scroll down here, you can see some of my projects that I've created, various graphic combinations that I'm sure Craig and Mary may recognize from some of my other stuff. So like I said, it's just so easy to do it. Do you want to go through it real quick on how to do it, Craig?
Yeah, why not? Just for like a quick few minutes for those that maybe have never even heard of Adobe Spark. Go for it.
Spark is great for doing various kinds of graphics, whether it's for a Facebook post or a Twitter post or whatever it might be. So it's real quick as far as if I hit a plus, you can do, entire web pages, videos. I just do a quick post. It wants you to put some text in first. So again, whatever you happen to be working on. If I was doing my English homework, and then you can hit continue. And it comes with some basic graphics, so if you like the graphics, you can just go for it. I like to sort of customize the picture, so define the picture I like first and maybe that download it on my computer, or you can access pictures in your Google Docs or your Google Photos. So if I go to the background, for example, I can click on the graphic and say, oh, I want to replace that with a picture. So I can say upload photo, find a photo on my computer, find them on the internet, etc. So there's some JPEGs from earlier. I don't know if I have any good photos on here, but basically you would find a photo on your computer that you want to go with. Does Spark work with PNG? Let's find out. All right, so it sticks the photo in there, and then you can go on and just start adjusting your text to make it, more legible, whether it's to change some of the formatting or whatever, change the fonts. I don't always have the best taste in graphic design, but so if that's what I wanted, I'm like, oh, I'm done with that. And basically, when you're done combining your text with your graphics, you can do share. I don't actually share it out, like publish anywhere. I just download it onto my computer. So I would hit download, download it as a JPEG to my computer. So once I'm done, if I go back to my Keep and I want to do a note, I can just create a new note. Let's see. Notes. You can start a note from scratch, or you can just say, I'm going to create an image one if you want. So if I can go to new image, it assumes you want to put a picture in there. Here's my latest Adobe Spark. I downloaded it, hit open. And now I have a note with that graphic on top. It's loading it. There you go. And then I could start adding. Let's go back to photo mode. I don't want to edit it. So let's see. There's my note down here, and then I can start adding text to it as needed. Let's see, where's text? There we go. Scroll down a little bit. There we go. And then you could say, English homework, and read a book, and do done, and you've got a note. And again, it just helps for me. It helps them stand out when I'm looking for them. And Craig hasn't mentioned, but if you use certain notes a lot, if you pin it, it keeps it at the top of the screen, so it's easy. So you have all your pin notes at the top and your other things down there. So like I said, I think the graphics just really, again, helps it stand out. And Spark is a great way to do them quick. It takes a little bit getting used to with Spark, but once you've done a few of them, it's pretty quick.
It seems like a very, like why would you do a visual? But like when you see it on your screen, it just pops out more. And so it's just making me think that I think I now want to actually have some visuals on my stickies. I know it seems very trivial and like, why would you spend the 3 minutes to do it? A sticky is a sticky, but yeah, I would agree with you. Just seeing it on your screen, I think it just clicked for me.
Yeah, I like that idea too, because I color code my Keep notes, but I like the idea of the visual because that's even more grab your, except after a while, even your color coding, well, I've run out of colors.
Right.
But with the visual, you can just keep on going. So I like it because I'm a very visual person too.
Yeah, without a graphic, I just get overwhelmed with all the words. I'm like, okay, where is it? And just like looking through a menu on a computer, I don't see it sometimes until I see a graphic to help me sort of, find it easier.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
So
Thanks.
that was that. The one other thing I was going to talk about, but as we all know, Google sort of giveth and Google taketh away. So one thing that Google had for using Google Keep was you could add notes using your Google Home, which if you don't know what it is, Google Home is that sort of speaker microphone system you can have set up and you just say, a certain word to activate it in case somebody has it. And then you can just tell it, oh, add something to my shopping list is what it's really being used for now. And then what it does is it would add it to an actual Google Keep note. So then you can access it on your phone or whatever, and you'd see your shopping list. But apparently about a month to 6 weeks ago, they took it away from me and you can't do that anymore. Basically what they did is Google has something called Marketplace, I guess, or Market, where you can, I guess it's almost like an Amazon, we can order things. And they sort of moved it into their Market app. So like it's for, again, they're using it more for creating a shopping list. So they think, oh, we'll put it there and then you can buy it through our Market. So I was hoping they would extend it at some point that you could create multiple lists using the voice and, you could say add to my English homework or whatever. Because you could also use it if you use not just the Google Home, but if you use the Google Assistant on one of the Android phones. But they took it away. I put a comment on there to complain to see if they'll add it back. But so that was my sadness. I found out right after I told you about it, Craig. I tried to do it again. I'm like, it's not working. And I found out they took it away.
Craig's gonna think I lied to him. Yeah, no, it's all good. But yeah, no, that is a bummer that feature, because I actually don't have a Google Home, so I didn't even know that that was even a possibility at once. So
Yeah, it was there for a while. It's sort of fun, but
yeah.
oh
All right.
wow.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you sharing.
Thank you.
And we're gonna switch
Yep.
gears. So Mary, I think you're gonna, maybe if I put you on the spot, talk about audio and annotation, question mark?
Sure. So can you hear me okay?
Yes, go for it.
Great. So let me see if I can share my screen here.
And while you're getting that ready, I will say that I obviously know Mary, and we connect from time to time. And Mary always talks about how she enjoys using Google Keep mobile. You know, she's not necessarily using Keep on her laptop, but really likes the features of like what you can do on an actual mobile phone. So I'm really excited for her to share a couple things here.
Great. So yeah, Craig, are you able to see my screen? Okay,
Yep.
Craig?
You are good to go.
Good. Okay, so a couple of things that I use it for is on my phone, as Craig mentioned, and I've already shared the link with him as well, too. But if you notice, it's a little bit tricky because I don't have my phone connected to show you. But you have the ability on the mobile device that at the bottom, when you go into Keep, that you can go in and you can say that you want to record your voice. There's a little microphone. And once you record the note on the mobile device, it'll show up here and you'll have this little play button. So when I click on the little play button, it will actually play my video. I should say my, can you see that okay?
Yep.
I think that's really handy. A lot of times I could simply be in the hallway and somebody's asking me to do something at school and I can record my voice. You know, I don't have to take anything out and write and type it, and it just pops into my Google Keep. So I like that function. A couple of other things that I've been using with it, I've noticed that I happen to have a tablet PC. So I don't know if people have noticed that you can now do a new note withdrawing. So if you click on this, you now have the ability to go and grab a pen. And Craig, I know you're a big sketcher now, right? So now I have I can come onto my computer and I can sketch comments and I can add information, right? And it also has different pen thicknesses. I can go in and say that I want to clear the page. It also has different highlighting capability. And then what I have the ability to do too, I can download the note that I'm taking. And then when I come back, I can title it. So this is to annotate. I can also go in and add more notes. I don't know if people have used this feature with it. And then I can simply say that I want to go ahead and I want to share this note. And I'll use Craig as my example again. And then that annotated note should be shared with you, Craig. I'm hoping that you can see that. I did one earlier too, that's here on my screen, that I'm talking about the fact that I have a stylus, and I'm kind of excited about this, especially with the new Chromebooks now coming out with styluses. I think that will give us more options to ink and write, so I think that's interesting. One of the other things that I've used a little bit is on the mobile device, if you take a picture. So for instance, this is a picture that I took, and once I click on the picture, it gives you these 3 little dots. So I know this is a little off script, but I can take an image and I can say that I want to grab the image text, because it strips all the text off of the image and it puts it right below. So I can edit this text, and I like now that the feature of using Google Keep with Docs, so I can drag and drop information into my documents or into comments. So I think this is pretty powerful. I've had teachers use this for answer keys, to grab like frameworks if they want to have information that that's repetitive, to drag and drop into documents. So that's the third feature that I like.
Now,
And
Mary,
again, that's done.
you just took a picture of some document that you had.
Yes. So right here, if you look, it's just the document was just printed out. It was a flyer that was in my school, and I wanted to now be able to use this and email it and make edits. So I took the picture, which I think is pretty impressive, and then I can then just come to the little dots here on the end and say grab image text. So as soon as you do that, it puts all the text, it strips it from that document and it puts it down below, and you can edit any of that text.
Now, Mary, I also
So
noticed,
I happen to show.
Go ahead.
I happened to show that to one of my teachers that I watched as she was typing text from an answer key so that she could use it in a document. And then once I showed her how to take the picture and then came up and to cut and paste it, it was amazing. It saved her, that one little step saved her an hour's worth of work, and now she uses it all the time.
Now, do you mind, Mary, going back to that note? And it looked like on the 3 dots, it said add drawing. Does that mean you can actually annotate on that picture itself as well?
Well, let's find out. I think it might do a separate drawing. I don't know if it's going to put it on it, Craig, but I can give it a try.
Okay. I just noticed, and I was like, oh, are you able to actually annotate right on that? That's what I was just curious about.
So I'm making some annotations, and I'm kind of curious if once I return it, it put it next to it.
Okay.
So can you see here on my screen, it made like a separate one I could annotate, and the annotations are next to it, not necessarily on it.
Okay.
Mary,
Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
Mary, how accurate has the text been?
Oh, it's been great.
Yeah.
I mean, I certainly wouldn't use it if I had like, you know, a 10-page PDF file. I would obviously do that through my computer. But literally to, you know, open up a textbook and I'm looking to grab some quick text instead of retyping it, it's been fabulous.
Cool.
Yeah, I must say I haven't used that feature myself either. So it's something I definitely need to take a look into more. Cool. Well, thanks.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things, like I did it at a couple demo slams. So I took information out of a user manual, and then there's that famous poster maker that we bought, and I had all the information. So once I scanned it, it just showed up behind it. So yeah, teachers have really liked it, and that's what I like about some of these sessions that we do, where we can just share out an idea and then say, you know what, go try it at the end of the session. And most importantly, once you try that, open it up in docs and then just grab it and drag and drop it into a document.
Awesome. Now, Mary, I'm going to put you on the spot again if you don't mind. Oh, you already changed.
You just love doing that, don't you?
That's fine. Have you used the reminder feature in Google Keep, or anybody, Jen or Mike? Has anybody used that reminder feature?
Yeah, I like the reminder feature. I use that every so. I actually use Keep Alive. I use it when I present, because sometimes when you're presenting, you might have notes somewhere, but it's hard to keep track in your notes where you're at. So I like to use Keep because I can check off, and then the places I've already done drop off the list, so I can just quickly look down and go, okay, this is the next thing. So, but I also use it to remind myself, like just now, to remind myself to order a corsage for my son's prom this weekend. Yeah.
Ah, good times.
Good thing I did that, because I had forgotten to do it. So.
Yeah, that's something that I haven't used, and I will admit, like I really haven't been a hardcore user of Google Keep, but I know it's something I just need to get into and embrace and help others use it, because there is a lot of good potential with Keep.
And just a quick comment on that, Craig, is that I've been using it a little bit off and on over the past year. I've given a couple of sessions on it and I liked it, but the fact that they integrated it with Google Docs and you can just drag and drop information, I think that's been a game changer for a lot of people. So if you start to look at that and then connect that with what's coming with, you know, Chromebooks that you're going to be able to ink. So I see the possibilities growing.
Any other
Yeah, when I first started using Keep, it was because I was on a campus where we gave Chromebooks to every one of our paraprofessionals, and they would follow students and keep notes on students. But the thing is, a lot of locations, they were across many buildings, sometimes on job sites. There was no wireless in certain places. So I introduced Keep because it seemed to hold offline for them, and they could take their notes on the student. They loved adding the picture in if they needed to take a picture of a document or something about that student's work. And then they liked at the end, when they got a connection, they could tap where they could share it out to a Google Doc, and it would post all their notes onto a Google Doc that they would share with the case manager. So that was how I actually started using it. It just allowed them to make like a nice list, pictures, everything offline, because working with a Google Doc offline was a struggle, and they would get really frustrated. So that was one other thing that they liked. Or they could pick up their phone and it was right there, and it just really held offline nicely, and they could add pictures in and then hit the 3 dots and share it as a Google Doc. Everything would be on a Google Doc, and then share it out with the teachers and the case manager, sorry.
Gotcha.
I guess that's a question that I would wonder, because I've had people say, well, why don't I just use a Google Doc to take the notes? Why should I use, Google Keep? And I usually would say, well, if it's notes that you would normally put on a Post-it or a smaller notepad, you use Google Keep. But sometimes like, well, it's just as easy to do it right in Google Docs. What do you guys think about that?
Well, I know one thing I like about Keep that I can't do in Google Docs easily. 2 things, actually. One is, I can easily check the boxes. You can do it on a Google Doc, but you have to like right-click. But also sometimes in the midstream, I have to move something where it is, and I can easily tap my finger and slide right down. Like I'm moving where I'm presenting. Well, I'm going to do this piece at the end. I can just change the order quickly. And it's just so much easier to slide the order of things around on a Google Keep note versus a Google Doc.
Yeah, I will say that I am a list person, and I do like the fact that you're able to just very quickly just hit the box and it goes down. And you can also even archive lists that you can even bring back. So I like what Stephanie was talking about, of how she just has something from the previous year. She pulls that thing back up, and she's not having to figure out, right, what was that thing, what do I need to do again, and she can just pull that. So I do like that feature as well. I think it's preference, really. I think it's, just like, what, Mike, you had mentioned you're a real visual person, whereas
that's what I was about to say, the visual, yeah.
Yeah, whereas someone else may not be visual and could care less if they have a little heading up at the top. I think it is user preference.
But yeah, that's one point I was going to mention is when you open up your Keep, like all my notes are color coded. I can't really I can do that somewhat with a Google Doc, but it's just a little different. And then you can put so right from the menu, I can quickly see, okay. So I like that visually. And I can add the tags to it. So I can tap over to the left and just find the the notes related to that category. So I can put them into categories and so forth. So that just it's just organizing and finding your stuff in Keep for your notes just a little easier than Doc sometimes for me.
Yeah. Good question, though.
Thank you.
Any other thoughts before we switch gears? Anyone think of anything? All right, then what I will do then is, so I will admit again that I am not, I haven't been embracing Google Keep as much as I should. And so just in looking at people's screens today, so if I go back to Keep, I will admit I did not know this. I always, went right here, add a little note, and be done with it. Or I would come here and select that. And while I knew you could actually draw, and I would have to, I don't have a stylus like Mary says she does with her device. I would actually have to use my trackpad or my mouse to actually annotate. But I did not know that when you come into search, there's this different view, and you can actually do a recording online as well. I initially thought that was only a recording on mobile, and so I am really excited that I can actually record my voice as well on a laptop. So, and if I go to more, there are some others, URL and drawings. And you can also look at your labels here as well. And if anything that you've tagged, books or movies or places, if you click on them, it'll also curate anything that you've actually put in notes all in one screen. So I did not know this part existed until, I'd say 10 minutes ago. So
I
anyway,
didn't either.
Yeah, so thank you, Mike, for doing that in your little demonstration there. I appreciate it. But what I do want to show is a couple events that are coming up. So we all know that Apps Events in New Hampshire is happening on, and I want to make sure I have the right dates here. Looks like it's July 18th through the 20th. It's at Campbell High School this year in Litchfield, and it's newhampshire.appsevents.com. So if you haven't checked one out before, you know, it's definitely days worth of, 2 days worth of just really good PD in terms of making sure that you know how to use all the different Google products, and some really good presenters there. So definitely check that out if you're available. There's also the Krista McAuliffe Tech Conference that is going to be happening November 28th through the 30th this year. And Jen reminded me that the call for presenters is coming up. And I want to say that it's either right before or right after Memorial Day. So the deadline is coming up. So if you haven't submitted something, or definitely consider it. And it's just a great way of connecting with other people in the state, as well as local surrounding states. And it's just a great opportunity to push yourself if you've never presented before. So definitely check that out. And the other thing that I'd also like to mention is there is going to be a Let's Math with Tech PD opportunity. And you can find more information at bit.ly/mathwithtech on just how you can use Chromebooks and math. And so those are coming up. That's coming up in August. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Jen, is there anything else that you can think of?
Sorry, I muted myself. No, I think that's it.
Okay, great. So hey, we're doing well on time. So Mike, Mary, Jen, and also want to thank Stephanie, who had to scoot out early. It's been a good session here. It's got me thinking about things that I want to dive into, and so I thank everybody for joining in. And on behalf of both Jen and I, we want to say hope you had a great 2016-2017 school year. This is in fact our last YouTube Live Hangout for the year, and we will start things back up in September. We're gonna probably keep the same schedule where we'll do every third Wednesday of the month, same time, same place, and look forward to connecting with you all after the summer. So thank you very much, and thank you, Mary, thank you, Mike,
Thank you, Craig.
and Jen, and you guys.
Bye, everyone.
Yeah, hopefully everyone has some good plans for the summer and rest up.
Bye. Have a great summer.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.